welcome back to my channel. So today I want to show you guys how I created my Akita Toushirou cosplay from Touken Ranbu. So I created this cosplay for the hashtag Scrap Epic 2020 challenge that was created by Kirilee Cosplay and Alana Owlet. You guys may remember that I did their previous Scrap Epic challenge when I did my Tokito cosplay from Demon Slayer. So unlike the Scrap Epic challenge where it was to create a cosplay on a budget, this challenge was to create a cosplay without leaving your house. While I did have to source some of my materials online, the majority of this cosplay was made from my scrap pile. So with that being said, let's get started. So first we're gonna start with the shorts. This was pretty straightforward honestly, which is why I didn't record too much of it. You can use whatever shorts pattern you want and then just follow the directions on your pattern. Once I put the whole shorts together, I then went ahead and added a white line using leftover bias tape from my stash. And with that, the shorts were done. Next up was the waist belt. I first went ahead and cut 2 long strips out of my leftover pleather from my Natalia and Deku cosplay, and then sewed the pieces together using a backstitch. I then punched holes using my eyelet puncher, and then sewed a medieval style eyelet. This is the same technique I used on my Tokito cosplay from Demon Slayer, and I will put a link to the tutorial that I used in the description below. I then chopped a piece of this faux suede cord that I had in my stash, and my belt was done. Next up was the jacket. I first grabbed my simplicity pattern that I use all the time, and then made a few adjustments. I mainly extended the front panel, and then lowered the neckline. After I got my pattern down, I went ahead and made the lining. As you can see, I had to use 2 different fabrics because I didn't have enough of either one. But that's completely okay. It's gonna be hidden under the real jacket, so no one's gonna notice anyway. After I sewed the lining together, I went ahead and checked the fit on my mannequin. For the most part, it fit pretty well. However, I noticed the sleeves were a little too long, so I went ahead and chopped it off a bit. After that, I went ahead and patterned out my collar. This collar is in 2 bits, a regular shirt collar and a fake lapel. I then began piecing together the actual jacket. I also sewed in some shoulder pads for a little bit more oomph in the shoulders. To add all the white lines onto the jacket, I went ahead and created my own trim using leftover matte satin from my Princess Tutu cosplay. This handmade trim was then used to add white lines all over the jacket. And something that I also did while off camera was to add some cuffs to the sleeves. You'll see it in the final result. I finally went ahead and combined the lining to the main jacket, added some more white lines, and sewed the buttons and buttonholes on the jacket. And with that, my jacket was done. Up next was the hat. I first went ahead and made a small pattern for a mini engineer hat, and then began adding some details using leftover trim. I then combined the top piece and the cylindrical piece together and used that as the base to draft up the bill. This was then cut out of some leftover black fabric and heavy interfacing, sewn together, and attached to the hat. I also went and added these 2 little loops on either side to insert bobby pins in later. I finally went ahead and attached the lining, and the hat was done. Next up was the chest plate. My first plan of attack in making this chest plate was to use my leftover brown pleather and then paint it red using leather paint. However, I didn't really like how the results were, so I just went ahead and bought some online. I then drafted up a quick pattern and began piecing all the pieces together by sewing it. One little note I want to give with this particular pleather is that it tends to warp and stretch weirdly whenever I sew it by machine. I later found a way to counteract this. I then punched some holes using my eyelet puncher for the lacing to come later. Back to the chest plate, I first went ahead and cut and sewed 2 pieces of purple fabric. And this is where my little trick comes into place. Take hemming tape and use that to connect the pieces together first. The tape basically helps stabilizes the fabric and keeps it from warping or moving around. To give my chest plate a little more stability, I went ahead and cut out 5mm craft foam from my stash pile and then heated it up to fit to my body. I then added even more reinforcement by hot gluing a piece of Wonderflex to the back and then reforming it to my body. I then used contact cement to combine the foam piece to the leather piece. Moving on to the straps, I had to go ahead and purchase a bias tape maker kit because I was missing a few parts, and then I used that plus some more of the purple fabric to make straps. I used the 1/4 inch for the shoulder straps and the 1/2 inch for the side straps. For the braid thingy on the chest plate, I went ahead and cut 3 separate straps and sewed them together. These strips were then carefully braided, from my teeth apparently, and then sewn to the chest plate itself. I then weaved more of the white cord that I still had left over, made a little Chinese knot, which I then sewed onto the strap itself, and then finished it off with a tassel. Next up was the arm bracer. I first made a pattern on paper and then transferred them to the red pleather. I then sewed all the pieces together, once again using the tape method that I showed you earlier. I also sewed in an elastic band to secure it to my arm. I basically repeated the same process that I did earlier with the chest plate using 2mm craft foam and Wonderflex. And finally, what's a Touken Ranbu boy without his sword? So this was an old toy sword that I bought from Amazon, and if you decide to go ahead and get this, it's about the size of a wakizashi. However, I needed to make it a tanto, so I chopped it all up. I patched up the raw edges on the blade and the sheath using leftover craft foam and contact cement. I then primed, painted, and sealed the sword and sheath. Put the hilt and the cording back on, and hot glued the top part of the handle back on. All that was left were some finishing touches. I grabbed these white tights that I had in storage, my dress shoes, my dress shirt, and then finally I purchased this tie off of eBay. And with that, my Akita Toushirou cosplay was done. In total it took me about 25 hours and 45 minutes to complete it, and I spent about $43.57 on it. It would have been a little bit cheaper, except I had to buy that bias tape maker. I'm overall pretty happy with how this cosplay turned out, but one thing I noted when I tried this on for the video and photo shoot was that I have to put all the pieces on in a very specific order or it's not going to work. Hopefully I'll be able to wear this to a future convention someday.
Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you predict in this challenge, tell me in the comments below. I'd really love to see what you did. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more cosplay content from me. Or if you want to see me dance, please check out my dance channel. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye!